This video was sponsored by PowerCircle Clothing and Headbusters Food Company in association with Cook Up Unlimited.
Cook up!
It's not podcast.
Dennis here, back with another episode of This Is Not a Podcast. Y'all already know what the liquor read. Make sure y'all like and subscribe and hit the notification button. Now, y'all already know what this title is about. So this is part 2 of the previous episode. You know, we was having a real deep conversation, so we're gonna continue this conversation. I'm in the kitchen cooking up some 154th Street tortas and some tacos. While I'm doing this, we're gonna have a little discussion, man. So right now, I already got my beat and already in there going, so I'm literally cooking up, literally. So speaking of cooking up, make sure you go to www.powercircle.biz to get you a jar. That's it. Y'all already know what this is already, man. It's going like clockwork. Shouts out to Potbellies in Chicago. Shouts out to everybody that purchased a jar. This Headbusters all-purpose knockout seasoning. Make sure y'all go get that. So anyway, I'm just gonna go ahead in the fridge and grab a few vegetables and chop up. So I got my romaine lettuce here. Got my tomato. And I got me an onion. You know? And I always keep me a bag on the side, so when I chop up all this junk here, I'll put all my drippings and droppings this way. But anyway, so back what I was saying, like Chicago kind of influenced the culture, not just the culture, but influenced the world, especially in the drill scene. And I was saying, you know, before, you know, picking up what we left off, you know, basically like the state of not just the music, you know, everybody on the outside looking in, looking at, you know, what's going on in these neighborhoods is just music. You know, a lot of people lost their lives behind the street stuff, man. You know, RIP to those who was lost, and you know, to senseless gun violence, gang violence, and things like that, man. You know, and I always tell my brothers and sisters, man, just like everybody else say the same thing. They hear it all the time like a broken record. Like, you know, I'm here to tell y'all, they not retarded at all. Well, some of them are, but really, they got a lot of sense. They got more sense than you think, man. And what I could say to people, like, don't judge a book by its cover, man. Some of the most intelligent people that y'all put labels on them, is what y'all label them as savages, and y'all think this stuff is cool, man. And y'all think it's cool to be from 63rd. Anything that's popular, or whatever the case may be. Like, I be hearing some retarded stuff from people out of town. Some of these dudes that's actually from over there, man, they like to take ignorance, get the best of them sometimes. And that's okay. But people on the outside looking in be thinking like it's some tourist spot or whatever the case. You know what I mean? When in fact, these are the trenches. This ain't no people. I done seen people catch flights to Chicago just to go to 63rd. I find that crazy when there's people from Chicago won't even go through 63rd because they know. Just like any other neighborhoods or any other section in Chicago, like the Inglewood, as far as, you know, K-Town, even like in the south suburbs, you know how to act accordingly. That ain't like no place you would just voluntarily go unless you're from there, you know what I'm saying? That's like any hood, you know what I'm saying? Like anything that's popular, like sometimes you might want to do your research. Same situation in California, y'all think it's cool to go to Crenshaw and Slauson, post up in the hood. I mean, it's cool because of everything Nip did and everything, you know, he put on in a real way. But sometimes that rubs some of the people in the community the wrong way sometimes, man. Like, it's one thing to go over there, you know, don't go over there trying to exploit, you know, the hood or make a mockery out of it or think it's cool like that just because one of your favorite rappers might have mentioned it, or you probably intrigued by all the tales you might have heard, or even clout chasing. That's the young way of doing things, man. I'm just saying, like, you know, you might want to be mindful of your surroundings. I'm just simply saying, like, and because of that, like, I remember it was a time where I was in California talking to some artists from New York. Now, peep this. Now, I won't mention these artists' names because he's like some friend of a friend. And we was having like a conversation in past when we was in the studio. We was having a conversation, and I asked him, I said, you know, what's popular in New York? Like, as far as on the music side, like what's in your playlist, what you listening to these days? And then, you know, they was about maybe, one shorty was like maybe like 19 years old. Other shorty was like maybe 21, barely 21, 22. Another shorty, another teenager. So it was like a mix, you know what I mean? So I'm thinking like, name me something from the, you know, from homegrown. Like, I want to hear, ooh, what's the vibes, what's going on, like, you know? And to my knowledge, he started naming like, he could barely name like the New York artists that they actually listen to these days. I was like, what? Versus what, like, people like myself that's on the outside looking in, listening to it. I'm looking like, what, you crazy? Man, I'm naming people. And he like, nah, you know, he said, he thought, oh, you know, I named some names. Like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, yeah, man, whatever, you know, that's cool. I started naming some artists. You know, we ain't gonna really name drop, say no names. We just gonna keep it rolling. So they like, yeah, they cool, but we really listen to, they start naming like some Chicago artists that I've never heard in my life before. If I can go back to that time frame, I probably could tell you the names, but it was definitely some people I ain't never heard of before a day in my life. And they were like, man, these dudes right here hard, da 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 da. I'm like, who was these dudes? And they might be popular today, or maybe not, because I can't really recall the names at the time, because you know, when you know, in Chicago, we pretty much familiar with who you usually hearing, like certain names you already know off the bat. Like, you know, outside of, you know, like the ones, the usual suspects, like the G Herbos, the Dirks, you know, like all the usual suspects who made it out. Obviously, Chief Keef, like, you know what I mean? Like the ones that we all come to know. FBG Duck, shouts out to Duck, RP to Duck, RP King Von, you know, like all the shorties that I'm familiar with. And like even all the underground shorties that we familiar with, well, I didn't say shorties, but all the underground artists, Chicago artists that we familiar with, even like the ones that they were naming wasn't even those guys. So I was just blown away, like, and that let me know like the world's a lot bigger and the world is watching hard. You be thinking like nobody's watching. Yeah, they are. Cause they named some people from Chicago that I ain't even know. I don't know who. I ain't never heard of them before. And I'm saying all this to say like, Chicago got a heavy influence, like the whole Chicago culture, from the food to the music, and then people be coming up with this misconception about what we are and what's being put out on TV and who we listen to and all this type of stuff. And I'm like, that's the furthest thing from the truth. You know what I mean? Like Chicago is big, especially on the music scene. We gonna do like a lot of different conversations about Chicago because I can talk a whole lot about it. I've been living there all my life, so I think I'm pretty much solidified to say what I want to say and how I want to say it. You know, if you've been hearing, you know, like even like the misconceptions of the negativity that goes on in Chicago. And Chicago is for real a beautiful place, but it is the most dangerous place currently right now. And I'm not bragging. Once again, I'm saying that because it's true. You know, it's about other cities get crazy, like Detroit crazy. Los Angeles is crazy. New York, crazy. All these places. Atlanta, crazy. But it's like sometimes, you know, when you hear these headline news, like you hear about, it's a lot of hoods in the South. Every hood got his own crime, acts of violence and things of that sort. Not singling nobody out. Because, I mean, we all know all the hoods is practically like the same in terms of, but sometimes, man, they kick it up a notch, man. It was some spots in St. Louis I've been to. Well, I tell you, to stay on topic, man, just to end it off the right way. We all get tired of talking about pray for Chicago, this and that. The media don't help. They don't help sometimes because they heighten the beef and they do exactly what all the negative people want them to do. Or all the powers that be, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not here to dog nobody and talk about nobody, but, you know, everybody seems like they headed for self-destruction. You know what I mean? Real talk. That's why I said all my Chicago artists and producers and all my influences from the actors to whatever it is that you do to where you have a brand, you have a platform, you know what I'm saying? Whether you feel like you are an influence, a role model or anything of some sort, I'm here to tell you the hard truth. You put yourself on that camera and people look at you a certain way. You become a role model whether you like it or not. No matter how negative you are, no matter what, you become a role model. And that's what a lot of y'all get it screwed up at. Y'all will either wait till it's too late or wait till your favorite artist faces some jail time or gets shot or shot at. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, you know, I'm just saying, you know, and this goes for any city. If you got the wave like that, then I'm just saying, why not use it for the greater good? Like I look at California, for example, like the whole state of California, and we're gonna have this in another conversation. It's just my opinion. If you agree with it or if you can add to it, feel free. If you disagree with it, that's cool too. But this is just from my point of view, just my POV, that we can learn a lot from places like California, not just the South like in Atlanta, but we can learn a lot from California. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a jewel for you, man, that I don't know if people look at it like that. And I know we know this, like, you can literally go platinum in California alone. That carries a lot of weight, that's a lot of power, that speaks a lot of high value. Like, no matter how much of this gang bull crap you hear about, they get behind who they get behind. All you got to do is be talking, if it's real or if it's something that, you know, they can vibe to, that's universal language, no matter what city you're from, as long as you ain't disrespecting nobody. Or maybe if you are, but not to say it's cool either way, but in a certain manner, if it's real, it's hard, yeah. You know what I mean? And I don't encourage none of that, you know, gang this and all that, man. It's a lot of stuff that come behind. That's why I said, when y'all be, you know, when you fans be reciting some of these songs, y'all gotta be mindful. If y'all really know y'all artists like you say you do, be mindful of what you're saying, because you could probably go to a concert or you might be playing like a disrespectful song in the wrong neighborhood, not knowing you disrespecting. You know, they talking about some of these rappers, man, some of these artists out here, you know, they be talking about their dead homies or disrespecting the dead, you know what I mean? Or saying, talking street politics and tripping code in the form of music. To y'all on the outside looking in, it's just another headline story. Or somebody talking about another life lost, or you trying to clout chase, say something crazy, trying to get a rouse out somebody for a few clicks and likes. And I'm like, man, you know, that's just like anybody, man. That's a dangerous game to play, man. So if you're a fan of the drill culture, you know, and we can all talk about the origins of the drill culture and all that, and that's fine and dandy, but that's not the conversation I'm having. All I'm saying is, I seen it formulate and where the originators of the drill culture, you know, they can tell you a lot more about that too, but my point is you might want to be mindful of what you're talking about. Just like if you was, I don't care where you're from, you making diss records, and you know, fans, when you recite them in other places, you never know who you recite them to or who you reciting that stuff around. It might be somebody's family member, somebody you talking about, not knowing who you're talking about. You just happen to just like the song, but somebody ain't gonna take it like that. And that's how music affects people, man. So like I said to all my Chicago artists, man, recognize your power. I'm gonna say it again, recognize your power. Recognize the power of your voice. So even when, you know, they say you don't have a voice, or if you feel like you don't have a voice, you actually do have a voice. If you're going into that studio making them songs, whether it's disrespectful or not, you do have a voice. You do have influence. And I'm talking about all my independent artists out there, especially because I was talking to some industry shorty that's working with labels. And I'm not saying that to brag anything or you know, I ain't saying this for, you know, y'all know me, man. I'm just keeping it 1,000. You know, shorties that work behind the scenes in the industry that's also inspiring artists, but they might be A&Rs, and they might be doing other things too on the side. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just here to tell you, like, not one person they named from Chicago was anybody famous or anybody local that I probably heard of before. Now, if I could, like I said, if I could remember the names, some of y'all in the comments probably can tell me about it. But I tell you one thing, you don't hear too much about them in Chicago. Now, I got daughters that listen to drill music, and I myself, I listen to some of it too. If it catch my ear and it's dope. I mean, I'm not out. I ain't talking about that out music. I'm not a fan of too much of that. But I do like me a good drill song every now and then if it's dope. And it's got a little bop to it, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We all guilty of it. But at the same time, like, a lot of these artists, like even like New York, they sound like y'all. A lot of these people from overseas, they try to sound like y'all. Because it's not that they, I ain't gonna say the word biting. It's just that they are heavily influenced by y'all, whether they admit it or not. It definitely shows. R.P. Pop Smoke. I hear a lot of artists from New York, new and old. I know where they got it from, and it ain't hard to tell. Artists from California, artists probably somewhere around here in Vegas. A lot of places, they all influenced by the drill culture. Different walks of life, different races, different nationalities. They all influenced by this stuff. They even got their own versions of it, put their own spin to it. Think it's cool. You got suburban kids, country kids, all influenced by this stuff. So it's like everybody got their sound. That drill is evident. I didn't think it would be too much like that, but it is. And I think it's cool. 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 I think it's cool It is, and we all know it. That's all I want to say, man. I think I made my point. I just say recognize your power, man. We gonna deal with what's the name of this episode gonna be as we go, man. Once I look back at the footage, man. But I had to do a part 2 to this real right away, man. You know, cause I try my best to not let up. And if you heard, if y'all watch This Is Not a Podcast, I appreciate everybody that do. Because I mean, it's not an easy task. Trust me, I've been bouncing around with different ideas to try to bring this content to y'all to where not only I'm comfortable, but to where I can actually handle it and discipline myself. Where I can actually handle it and discipline myself to stick to it. You know what I'm saying? That's my main thing. I don't want to just be talking on my back turn. I can say, man, you know, it's gonna pay off eventually. I ain't where I need to be, but we getting there. We getting there. And like I said, so I just always take this time to say thank you, and I appreciate y'all for even watching, whether y'all watching it to the end, which we'll get there. You know, I ain't too much worried about it no more. But I do have an episode we can kind of shed light on it, so hopefully by this time, man, we're gonna be a little bit better. I'm gonna try to be the best that I can be as well. Try to bring y'all the best content that I could possibly bring y'all. You know what I mean? So we embarking on this journey together. Like I say, man, appreciate y'all, man, and I appreciate y'all rocking with me. The little or whether it's 1,000,000 of y'all, 1,000 of y'all, or 10 of y'all, man, I appreciate all y'all, man, just rocking. And you know, I can only get better. We can only continue to grow. Ain't no other way but up. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. On that note, y'all know my slogan: keep God first, stay sucker free, and by all means get some money. Peace and love, stay healthy. God first, stay sucker free, and by all means get to the money.